Welcome back. This is episode 105.
105, man. Season 5, episode 1.
Yeah. The 5th season of Cowboy shit. Look at us. We made it to season 5. We didn't
thought, man.
Here we are. We're four entire years down on the podcast, starting on year number 5. Thank you to everyone who's listened so far. We appreciate it. And
we can't forget. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ted. I'm sorry.
Hey, well, the thing is that we couldn't do without these special folks that you just put to talk about.
Yeah. Well, for starters, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. It's holiday season and you don't know what to get yourself. You don't know what to get as a gift for the stocking stuffers or your white elephant game or your family gift exchange. You're stuck. You don't know what to do. Well, Manscaped has the tools to guarantee you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the leader in men's below the waist grooming, and they have served more than 4 million men worldwide. And if my math is correct, that's almost 8 million balls. So get 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com with code HugeBush from us to you. Check it out. They've got awesome products. We've been using them now for a few months, and we cannot be happier with how they perform.
Did you get your body wash and shampoo?
Yeah, man. I've been using it consistently. I use it every second day, the hair wash.
Oh, so you must have got yours before you left, because I just got mine the other day.
I've been using it, man. It's been great. It smells good. It comes in a nice little squirt bottle, like a little bottle.
Yeah, it's metal. I've never had a metal bottle of
I dropped the body wash
in
in the shower today and it made a loud sound.
Did it ding? Did it ding up your
No, it wasn't very high up. It just was a lot. And I was like, I wasn't feeling 100% this morning waking up after the week we just had in Regina. So it was just kind of a interesting way to start the day. But we also can't forget about our friends at the Circle 4 Beverage Company. They've been on board now for a while now. So we appreciate everything they do for us. Check out their products. Branch water and Sweetwater can be found in basically any liquor store across Western Canada these days. It's getting pretty popular. If not, you can request it just by asking for the Ranch Water products. You can check them out at circle4beveragecompany.ca.
I've got one for you with Manscaped. Little tail to tell you.
Manscaped tail. Okay.
Yeah, well, tail of Manscaped.
Once again, what I just thanks again to Circle 4.
Oh yeah,
you guys are deadly.
Sorry.
And then now you're good. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Circle 4. Thanks to Courtney and Aaron. We appreciate it a lot. We've drank a lot of ranch water now, and it's very tasty.
Oh man, tasty. It's a staple in my fridge nowadays, so I can't get enough.
Especially after you got a couple flats out of Red Deer.
I actually ended up giving that to my family every time. That's the shitty
everybody
thing.
Wants it, eh?
Who wants it? Just like man, I love my family and whatever, and I like helping people out. But anytime I go anywhere with any ranch water or Cowboy shit merch, I never come home with anything because I literally they'll take the shirt off my back. So
they have
love you, fam, but also stop taking my stuff.
Okay, a little tale about Manscaped, Wacey. So the other day, I was doing some manscaping, mowing the lawn with the lawnmower 4.0.
Oh,
I can't believe I'm telling people this.
Do you start off by using the guard and then take it off, or you just go straight down, blade it? Okay, boy, right to the wood.
Just yeah. She was I got a little unruly for a while, right? And it used to be always unruly, and you have to trim it down with the old scissors. Just wasn't a good scene, right? But
can I add a little interjection to this story after that point? Because I've known Ted now for a long. We're coming on 10 years of knowing each other. It's
20. What was it?
I think 12 or 13. One of those years. So we're getting close to knowing each other for 10 years.
2012.
Yeah,
maybe 13. No, I don't know. It was a long time ago. 2012, I think, Wace.
Yeah, it's one of those years. So we're approaching our 10-year mark here as buddies.
10-year friendiversary.
Close pals. And when I first started playing hockey with Ted, anybody who's played hockey knows you see your fair share of balls. Sure, yeah. So, anyways, Ted was not very good at manscaping when we first became friends and started playing hockey together. So I'm thankful that we have people like Manscaped in our corner to help Ted do what he was about to do to his nether regions.
So there I was in the shower with my manscaper. Because it's water resistant, and
that's a great feature of it too.
Right, you can just take in the shower.
The light is perfect. Oh, it's
all. Yeah, you got a little combine light. You can just combine it out. So I was kind of in a rush, and I'd forgot to do it the last couple of days. So I just wheel in there and just and the buzzer all down. I'm like, yeah, this is a lot better, and it was very freeing. Like it kind of cools off the area, and then I get didn't think much of it, just roll on, shower up, get going for the day. And then we have hockey like that night or the next night. And I look down at hockey when I'm in the shower and I'm like, holy shit, I gave my ball pro a fucking bowl cut. And that there was like a distinct line because I didn't know where to stop it either. And I had to like
That's
go
the hard part.
but there was
That's
like
always the hard part, knowing where to stop.
yeah, there was like a distinct kind of like bowl cut area that was, between my treasure trail and the old
when your chest pubes down to your ball throw.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like, where do you draw the line? That's the next thing. Like,
honestly, man, that's a really good question because I wonder that often. Like, where do you draw the line? Because like,
maybe
some people do the
guard
full thing, man. They just go
like all the way. Like, I don't want to lose the whole treasure trail because then it like might be a little weird, and it might
some people do that though. Some people
might get itchy in the belt line. Don't know.
I don't know, man. That's a hard question to ask, and if anybody has the answer, please let us know. Yeah, but also, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that you noticed it at hockey.
I didn't want to embarrass. I didn't want to embarrass myself at hockey with a bowl cut on my ball throw. Thought that would be
so you had to ask Storm to give you the thumbs up. Which is that was leading into what I was going to say.
It's a good call.
Well, most people would be more concerned about their significant other. What they think,
but she wasn't gonna make
the boys.
She probably wasn't gonna make fun of me though, because you'd make fun of me for a bush. You'd be like, "Dude, what did you do?"
I mean, like, I'm not always just like looking at your bush either. So I may have gone unnoticed. But
obviously you were because you noticed 12 years ago. It's a fond memory in your.
Well, I just didn't know. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. When it's there though. It's hard not to see it. It's like, remember Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay and they go see their buddy and he's in the hot tub. Yeah, that's
what his name was. That was funny. It was not like that. That's too much. Okay, man. What else? Agribition, man. That was our big
Agribition.
Yeah,
it was essentially like our big debut in the live game, in the live show game. We did a few there at the CFR, but that was our first official like Cowboy shit live gig.
That's true.
In a sense,
it actually
right?
It was actually marketed as Cowboy Shit Live.
Which is kind of neat. So yeah, we appreciate Chris and the team taking a chance on us. It was fun,
Chris and Terry and just because the whole crew, it was good time.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We got to talk to some cool people and got some good content. And I'm happy to say that I achieved my goal of crushing 25 paralyzers.
You did.
In a week.
I don't know what the prize was.
And you know what? It's funny because
is there like a alarm going off at your place?
It's my is
your Roomba?
Washer. It's my washer.
Oh, okay.
It's my washer. But anyways,
is your refrigerator running?
Better go catch it. Fuck, man, my refrigerator looks pretty grim right now. There's not much in
empty?
there. Just beer.
Okay, sorry. So you did we don't know what the prize was for doing 25.
I think it was just a pride thing.
You did it. I got to 20, but then I was gassed and I might have gave myself a dairy allergy.
Dairy infection.
Still. Yeah.
Dairy intolerance. No, it was funny because on paper 25 really didn't seem like that much because we were there for like 6 days, so it didn't really seem like much, but it got to battle, man.
You know what, Wacey? I'm kind of craving a paralyzer right now.
Are you? Oh fuck! I could have like one. I don't want to have another paralyzer until the next Agribition.
I could have one right now. That's it. One.
Well, we went for lunch today, and you wanted to get beers, man. That was the last thing I wanted.
I only wanted like taste beers. Like I didn't want to drink a lot.
Still, man.
I am the liquor.
But man, Agribition. I loved being there because I got to see so many people that I haven't seen in years. I got to sit down and talk to my buddy Craig Stevens. Talk to him for like 4 hours.
Yeah, you guys really got after it there, Atty.
Oh man, he's one of my really good buddies and spent a lot of time around him growing up. So it's nice to see. I haven't seen Craig since his wedding either, which is wild. I'm not a very good friend. Been a while. Yeah, not a very good friend. But yeah, that was one element of it I really enjoyed. We got a lot of good compliments from people that I've known for a long time, and people who came to the show got good feedback and that they enjoyed what we were doing. So we appreciate that, and everybody coming out, and whoever watched our live streams of the shows, like that's really cool. That's another element added to the game. So. And it was a step in the big step for us, I would say, at the Agribition.
And congrats to all the winners at the finals. Going to whatever the fuck the NFR Open is in the spring.
That's a strange strategy.
Best of luck. I don't know why the fuck they would call it the NFR Open. Yeah. So apparently the NFR Open is, like the new circuit.
It's the new circuit finals, yeah. And it runs right over the 4th of July weekend.
No, over top of Calgary. Fucking idiots.
So like the fourth run, either way.
I don't know who the fuck thought of that. You got your biggest paying rodeo of the whole fucking year, and you're gonna put on an NFR Open. Yeah. I don't know who fucking dreamt that up. But
who was telling us though, like their objective with that is to get to eliminate, you get your weekenders going against your best guys. But I
don't. Everybody that goes to Calgary is a weekender. What are they thinking? That was Rory that mentioned that.
Like,
but
maybe if Jared Parsons, like he qualified for, like he's not going to go to the thing. So gives like that gives like a person who's not going to be a Calgary a chance to go. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's
I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna go the wrong way, and they're gonna have the weekenders go to the NFR Open. The NFR Open is gonna be how the weekenders make the NFR.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. I don't know how the payout structure stuff works, but yeah, I don't know what it's going to make, man. It's either going to be decent or really bad.
Another dopey move on behalf of the PRCA.
I just don't get the timing wise. Yeah, like there's so many other times a year you could have that.
Mm-hmm. That you're creating a new event, and you create it over to Calgary.
Even if you do, aside from Calgary though, like that's Cowboy Christmas, so there's gonna be a lot of like small town rodeos that are gonna lose out on their people from their circuit that are gonna be at those finals, and
they might be taking it back to like Nampa or something. It might be an existing rodeo on that time. Maybe it's Salinas, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. We will see, and we'll see how it turns out.
But congrats to the winners who get to go.
Yeah, exactly. Congrats. great rodeo over there in Regina though. Went awesome.
Saturday night crowd was rocking, so kudos to Regina. You guys got to put a good rodeo crowd out there, so it was fun.
I heard a lot of the same jokes, a lot of the same what would you say, a lot of the same sing-alongs in the same order, same times, same night.
There's some repurposed content throughout the week, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think one person put it very well, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Anyways, okay,
that's a whole episode in its own.
It's a whole other episode. So I guess I gotta say before we go into this interview, really enjoyed having Amber Marshall on the show. She was a total treat to work with that day.
Man, that was a fun day. Show. That was a highlight exhibition for me.
We had a really good time. Do you need something? We're in the middle of this. What's up? Oh, you're listening. I thought you needed something. You're creeping on me.
I was
there's an eyeball. There's an eyeball looking through the door.
Man, we missed talking about my cooking show debacle.
Yeah, but I think we should. I kind of wanted to get to that before we got to the interview, but we could also do that afterwards.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Let's say that for the second half.
All right.
Okay. So we got a funny story for you about cooking with Amber Marshall after our interview with Amber Marshall. She's a star of Heartland, and she actually joined us for the show. She even said shit a few times. That was cool.
She seemed like she genuinely wanted to hang out with us, which was great.
Yeah, I think
it wasn't like a chore for her to be around us, which was nice.
I don't think it was. It might have been. I guess we'll know more.
I mean, she was grilling me all day. So
we'll know more, I guess, when we if we ever hear from them again. That'll be the true tell, right? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening again, everybody. This is Cowboy Shit with Ted and Wacey. I'm Ted. He's Wacey. We'll be back with our interview right after this. It's episode 105. Cowboy Shit. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, our next guest is a star of the CBC hit show Heartland, which has been running for 15 seasons now. Welcome to the Cowboy Shit podcast, Amber Marshall.
Thank you guys for having me.
Totally redeemed myself.
Thanks for agreeing to do this. I was really nervous when I sent the media kit over, and it's like, yeah, the show's called Cowboy Shit. Is that?
Yeah. So where did that come from? What did you guys? You're just sitting around one night drinking beer, and you're like, you know what? We talk about a lot of Cowboy shit.
So it's funny you say that.
It's a story. It's actually, this question has been asked to us a lot over the past 2 months. But the way it played out, I was living at Ted's house at the time, and I had my little basement room.
On the couch.
Yeah, I was downstairs.
No, he had a room.
I was in my room on my bed.
Closed room. I don't think a door locked.
I may have been studying. I don't know what I was up to down there. But Ted comes into my room. He's like, "Hey, man,
studying."
He's like, "Hey, man, you want to start a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, let's do it." So we tried to come up with different names to name it, and we came to Cowboy Shit. And someone at Wrangler told us that it was never gonna work. It was a bad name, but here we are now. So take that.
Yeah. Well, congrats, you guys. It's been very successful.
Have you ever listened to a show?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's on my preset.
She downloads them as soon as they come out every Wednesday. Nice.
Holy. Yeah, that's exactly what it though. I went to a course in LA one time. I went to a few different things different times, and I met a guy that had one called Every Day is Saturday. His name was Sam something, I forget now.
Sweet name for a podcast.
Yeah, his podcast was called Every Day is Saturday, and he made a living out of teaching people how to make podcasts. And that was in 2010 or 11. And I always thought for that whole time that I should have made one, but I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't pay for his course. That was $2,500 US because I was too cheap and I was in school. So he had this thing forever, and I was like, yeah, I should do it. And there was Talk Rodeo with the guy's name was Rick Thompson. He's from North Dakota. Mm-hmm. He did one forever, but we just never I just never got to it. And then finally Morgan Lutzak was working with us at one point. She said, "Hey, let's get this podcast going for real." So we did it at the start of end of 2017.
And somehow Ted ended up with me as a co-host.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, this is actually our first episode of season 5.
Episode 501. I learned
Pretty huge, probably biggest guest we've had yet. Here we are in a conference
it's actually
room
legit. It truly is.
in Regina at Agribition. and it
Of all
kinda happened by accident.
When we live
but
like
got it all
45 minutes apart in Alberta.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
It's fine. Well, regardless, I'm very thankful that you guys reached out to me, and it's good to chat. You know, I think that there's a lot of emphasis now on podcasts, because especially in the world that we live in, with things have been restricted and events and all that. So I think that in the last 2 years, people have really reached out and have been seeking just human connection, and podcasts are a really nice way to develop that and to show that. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and chat.
Have you done lots of shows in the last
lots of podcasts?
Lots of them, yeah.
You know, more than ever, but not too many in the last little while. But I think that it's really nice to be able to have a podcast where you can talk about all things Western too, because a lot of the podcasts I've done have been for different media outlets, and this is the first real, cowboy shit that I've ever talked about. Yeah. So I think that it is good to be able to just kind of emphasize on all of the Western culture that we know and love, and that some people, might not be exposed to, but they see it through the world of Heartland and through rodeos and things like that, and we can just talk a little bit about that.
Well, and it ties in to what we even talked about on our live show today, with that being authentic and delivering it that way. I think that's why people really connect to podcasts and a lot of social media content nowadays, is where you get to feel like you know the person. It's it's not authentic, rather than like a general interview where you're having your robotic answers to questions and stuff. It's a bit more laid back and kind of get to know a real person.
That's a good way of saying it. It's more of just a conversation, as opposed to some of the typical interviews that are just question answer. And that's, us sitting around right now. It's very casual. We're just having a conversation. And I think that that's how you really get to know someone, is through conversation. And that's why. And podcasts are easier to listen to in that regard, is that you're just joining in on the conversation.
Earlier you mentioned that you like to keep things like it's got to be very challenging. Yeah, there's some. I don't know if there's construction going on, renovations.
It's a really good room.
What is happening? But there's definitely some hammering going on.
Okay, you just got to dial focus up.
Okay,
man.
focus in.
Winner's mindset.
Okay, put the headphones on, blocking it out. But you mentioned that you like to keep like your personal life personal still, and you can't it's got to be challenging when you have almost a million people on Instagram that want to follow what you're doing. But I just can't imagine the challenge to.
You have to have a balance, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I've learned over the years, is in the beginning, I feel that I shared too much. I was completely transparent. I said everything that I was doing, everyone that was in my life. And at some point, you need to keep some things for yourself. And a lot of fans are always asking, what is your husband up to? You never show pictures of your husband, And I think that that's my private life, right? Like, that's something that is my own. And when you're in this world that is very exposed, I guess you could say, and everything that you do is out there for the public, I think you need to keep some things for yourself. And then they become more special to you, right? Because it's your own thing. And so the photos that I share and things that I have on social media are more about things that bring me joy, which are my animals, and things that I think will bring other people a smile too. So I started during COVID, I started doing some like weather forecasts and things like that just were, they were not legitimate at all, but it was just something that could bring someone a smile that might be sitting at home. And then, you say, what, it's not so bad. Like, it's a beautiful day out today. And so that's sort of where I came up with that. And I think that sharing certain parts of your life with other people is important, but not everything.
It's important to set that boundary, right? So you can still enjoy like your private life, but also still be connected to your fan base. It's a big thing, having that clear line over the boundary, because it's easy once you start blurring that line, it can kind of get to be a lot, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's interesting in the regard that I show a lot of my home and a lot of my like, I live in the country, I have animals, and I kind of, when I go to post something, I say, oh, should I share this or should I not? Is this for me or is this for something that I want to share with everyone? And there is that level of privacy, I guess, because you don't want to share it all. And
you don't want people to know where you live and come
Well,
and show up at your, at your
yeah,
door.
exactly.
Yeah.
So this is why we're doing the podcast in Regina as opposed to you two
Yeah,
coming to my house.
At the house, yeah.
No, it's true though. You know, you need to keep things that are just for you and your family, and I think that also adds to the whole. We were talking earlier about being grounded and being approachable, and you have to still keep some things for your own, right? That make you smile and things that you do. Because I'm not gonna, people are always say, "Oh, you got to ride your horse today." I'm like, "Well, I ride my horse a lot, but I don't share it every single time, right?"
Yeah.
Because I feel like once you pull out your phone and you start documenting something, it lessens its value to you. If that makes sense. So if I'm out and I'm on a beautiful ride and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Like, look at the view. My horse is being so good. I haven't been tossed off yet. Like all of these things. I'm enjoying that for me. But as soon as I pull out my phone, now I'm enjoying it for the public. So there's something different there. So I try to balance those experiences that I have for myself and the experiences that I share, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of that though, is there I guess what am I trying to say?
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to I want to get to know you better though, that side, like as far as what you can share, what you can't share. But you mentioned the show you record in the kind of the summertime. So like we rodeo and work in the summertime. There's not a lot of off time in the summers, and that's when you're working the 14 hours a day. So a couple different things. I want to know what the day in the life of shooting the show looks like. If there are any off days during the week, what that looks like, and then the third part is the off season. I want to know what that is like. What do you spend your time on? What do you do? What do you do for fun? Like what comes
on podcast with guys like that.
Yeah, that's not a fun.
No,
this is public engagement that you have. This is like community service.
I'm glad you bring it up because it's a very different schedule than your typical 9-to-5 job all year round. And I'm actually very fortunate for that because I'm a very spontaneous person by nature. So I like doing different things all the time. And I feel like this line of work is very accepting of that schedule. And so during the summer when we are filming, we typically film from April until September. And I wake up at 4:30, 5 a.m. I go out. And the summertime for me is pretty easy as far as chores go. All my animals are out on pasture. I don't have to feed anything like other than my dogs and my cats. It's pretty simple. So I wake up, spend about 20 minutes to a half an hour doing chores, jump in the truck, drive myself to work, which I'm lucky. I'm only about half an hour to 45 minutes away from all of the Heartland sets. So that's
between High River and John Scott's house, Millerville.
Yeah, and then we have a studio in Calgary.
Yeah,
so
and that's northeast, like 32nd Ave or 16th Ave.
Can't tell you that.
Sorry.
Come on,
but there's only so many
but no,
studios. Though.
No,
there are
it's
only
not.
So many.
It's actually in the Southwest. So it's not an actual studio. We've just made it
It's
into
your
our
space.
studio.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So all of the shooting locations I can get to within an hour, which is really nice. So I can drive myself. And so as actors,
you don't have a driver?
Well, let me back that up. I was actually going to say that. So the insurance companies actually prefer that we have a driver because we are working long hours. So they want someone to be able to get us home and there in the morning safely without us being too tired because they don't want us to fall asleep at the wheel, if there's bad weather, all of those things. So typically there is a driver that picks me up. But the last 2 years during COVID,
no driver.
It's funny.
It's a pandemic.
It just kind of changed the experience for me because I'm one of those people. I like to sit up front with the driver. We chat. We become really good friends. We stop at Tim Hortons. Like it's just it's.
Do you buy or do they buy?
Per diem.
Exactly. It's on the company. And so. It was just a whole experience, and I become really good friends with them, and it's not just a driver picking me up, it's my friend coming to pick me up. And so when all the restrictions came in place, they now had us sitting in the back seat with plastic up, and we had to wear masks and things like that. So it changed the experience. So I finally just said, hey guys, I'll see you at work. Like you don't have to ask how I got here. I'll just see you there.
Yeah.
And so it actually turned into a really nice, like just kind of thinking time for me. I love driving. And so that gave me half an hour to an hour every morning just of alone time and just kind of like mentally warm myself up for the day. Then I could stop and grab my ice cap or I could do whatever I wanted in the morning before I got to work. And so I really did enjoy that. And I would bring my dog every day. So, I've got my little sidekick there and it's just nice being able to set your own schedule too. And I'm not one of those actors that's always late either, so so they were okay with it. But yeah, it's so once I get to work, I go into hair and makeup. So we have a trailer on set that I've got this awesome hair and makeup team. Yeah. And so they make me look good, and then I get my wardrobe on, and then we go into the studio or wherever we might be if it's on the ranch, and we block out the scene. So we look at the day. So typically we film 6 scenes a day. So we only go scene by scene. So the first scene we go, we block it out, so we kind of figure out where we're all going to stand, if there's horses involved, if there's background performers involved, what's going on in the scene. And then they set up all the cameras. So that takes usually 20 minutes to sometimes an hour, depending on how big the setup is. So we go and we learn our lines, and we kind of just like rehearse and do that kind of thing and get snacks and whatever else we want to do. And then we shoot the first scene, and we do multiple takes, different angles, all that kind of thing. So it can take up to 3 hours per each scene. And then we block out the next scene, and just kind of go through the day. So it can be very routine. And it can be very monotonous in some ways because you're doing the same lines. Like, say the scene is very short. It's like 3 lines. You're like, hey, Jack, how are you? Oh, great. Just going down to the fishing cabin. Okay, cool. You might have to say that like 50, 60 times, right? So you have to keep it fresh every time, and you have to be able to bring a new energy to it.
That you're not tired,
Yeah, like, and not being like, oh, this is the 67th time I've said
Jack,
this. Yeah, exactly. So keeping it fresh, I think, is the most important thing. But being outside really helps with that. I find that when I'm in the studio, it kind of sucks my energy out of me a little bit more. Whereas when you're outside, especially if I'm on a horse, I find that it keeps my energy up. You know, like when you're riding into a scene, you all of a sudden have this energy that you can't just be like, oh, I'm so
And you've got to be on, because you can't give your horses any.
Well, you don't want to drag the horse down either, because like, horses rely so much on the rider's energy too.
If
you come in at it like kind of like, the horse is like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, and it's true, and it also goes the opposite way. You know, sometimes you have to ride into a scene, and you have to have a lot of high energy emotion. So you're yelling or you're screaming, and that can really affect your horse too, because they don't know what's going on. They don't understand that we're acting. And some of them do over time. The horse that plays Spartan on the show is kind of the lead character horse. And he has been the same horse. He belongs to John Scott. We mentioned him earlier. And he has been on the show 15 years. So he actually, I believe...
That's really cool.
I believe he understands the acting side of it. He is, because he will, once we do a scene once, he knows exactly what to do the next time. So say I'm supposed to ride into a certain mark, stop, I get off, he's supposed to turn his butt sideways towards the fence. If I do it once, he will do it the exact same way every single take. Because he's like, oh, this is what we do. Like, I come in and he'll find his mark. Like, we usually, for the horses, we use pylons or cones for their marks. And he'll see it from way across the field, and he will, like, if I didn't touch him, he'd just ride into that cone and stop.
Really?
So, but I mean, that's 15 years of doing the same thing.
You both would have been able to grow together as the shows evolve, which is really cool.
And we're really lucky that he was only 5 when the show started, because most of the horses that we use on the show are 12 or older, because they have to be kind of mellowed out and bomb-proof and been there, done that.
Ted's got to be able to ride.
But yeah, well, and that's the thing too.
I'm not that bad.
The I was very lucky that I rode horses before the show, so I had a little bit of history with that. But a lot of the actors that come onto the show, they've maybe never been around horses. So we need to have horses that are very, very quiet and used to this and not going to toss an actor off in the middle of the scene. And so that's another thing too, that's getting to know the horses that are on the show is really important. And we were, like I said, we were lucky that Stormy was only 5 years old, because 15 years later he's 20 and he's still going strong. Yeah. So it's really nice. And I'm kind of getting off topic here in this conversation of a podcast.
That's how it goes.
So walking through the rest of the day, you know, we do the 6 scenes, we have lunch, and I'm lucky we're fed really well. Like I
Best meal
food.
at catering?
Oh, I love food. And there's always just a snack table available, and then at lunch they have, 3-course meal, and it's great. So we eat really well. That has changed a little bit over the last 2 years with COVID, because we used to have, well, sort of, not that bad. But we used to have a buffet
Lunchables
style,
all around.
And you could go back for more dessert if you wanted, and nobody judged you. And like
Nanaimo bars.
Exactly, like you could go back for 4 or 5 if you wanted. But now you go up to a window and they give you it. And if you ask for dessert, they give you one. And then if you ask for more dessert, they look at you funny. So that's the one thing that's changed a little bit. But
is that in your rider, like your daily rider?
Must have pink M&Ms.
I need a tray of Nanaimo bars.
Do you is that something that happens on the show though?
That's not on Heartland.
No, but like, is that a thing for actor? Like some actors, like not everybody on the show.
Here's what I've heard: is that, you know, when you're doing certain events, you want to make sure that everybody has everything organized and ready for you before you get there. Even an event like this, it's like, okay, so if I want to have the signing set up and I need a chair and cards and Sharpies and whatever else, I need to have that ready. So the whole like pink M&M thing, where that came from is that when someone arrives, they already know if their wishes have been taken seriously or not. So they may not care in the world, like if they have blue M&Ms or whatever. But it's like if they arrive and they've asked for a jar of blue M&Ms and they're sitting there, they know that they're probably going to have everything else ready as well. If they're not there, they know that they need to call someone to say, okay, so this wasn't here, so we should probably figure out if everything else is in place.
So that's part of the thing with the pyro guys and like the big rock shows and whatnot. Is it was partially a pyro thing too. Yeah. Because then they know if they're working with a different pyro company every week, somebody might get blown up.
Yeah. No, it's true, though. Like, you need to know if people are on their game, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
And it just makes everything run smoother. So, no, nobody has ridiculous requests on Heartland. But
we've all... your personal rider, dude? What's the most obscure thing that you have on your personal rider? I love this question.
I don't have anything.
No?
Like, I'm trying to think of...
Just Spartan. Spartan needs to be in. Or I'm not going to go to work.
Have Spartan. No, there's nothing that I have it. And I'm really lucky that Heartland is such a wholesome, good show too, that I don't have to worry about anything weird. Like, I'm sure if I was on a different show, I might throw a few things into my rider. Like, you know, but.
And we kind of cut you off there, so we were still going through the day on what it looks like.
So I had my great lunch. So I think we were at that. Go back, do some more scenes.
Sidetracked by food.
Then
tangents. I like the tangents. They're fun.
And then at the end of the day, you know, we usually film out. It depends on what time of year it is because it gets dark at different times. In Alberta, for those of you who aren't from Alberta, we are so northern that the lighting changes so much
drastically
between summer
at 4 p.m.
and winter. Yeah, so in the summertime, it's light until 11. Which allows us to film much longer outside. But, you know, this time of year, it's dark at 5. So it depends what we're filming. If we're filming exterior night scenes, then it's great when it gets dark early because we don't have to wait so long. If we're filming night scenes in the summer, we have to wait until 11 o'clock to come to work. So it really depends on what we're filming. And Heartland doesn't do a lot of night shoots because we're not really that edgy. Like that's more of a maybe Yellowstone type idea.
Dangerous.
So I think for us, we usually wrap up filming about 7:38 in the summer. And then I get back into my normal clothes and jump in my truck and drive home and do my chores. Like usually, like I said, in the summer, there's not a whole lot to do. So I just go out and make sure everybody's standing on 4 legs and everyone looks happy and healthy. And if I have enough time, I'll go for a ride in the evenings because that's one of my favorite things is I'll just grab a horse, jump on bareback and just go. It's kind of like one of those ways to just decompress. And that people always ask me like, oh, do you go home and you watch TV or you read a book or like what do you do to decompress? I usually just hang out with my animals. And if I don't want to ride or I don't have time to ride, I'll just go out and sit with the cows or like
it's nice to unplug and just like be able to be like present in that moment.
And that's one of my favorite things is even just sitting in the grass out with the horses and the cows and you just like take it all in, like them munching the grass and we have so much wildlife too and you can just watch the deer walk through and it's just there's something about it that is very grounding and I'm lucky I have that in my backyard because a lot of the other actors they go home to downtown Calgary hotel or apartment and they don't have that, so many of them will say, oh yeah, I go to the workout room or I go swimming or whatever it might be, but yeah, I'm really lucky that I have.
Be able to like sit out in nature and be with animals and stuff, especially where we live too. We're so fortunate to have like a beautiful landscape and everything on that. Like, there's something to be said for that.
And then, so the schedule is essentially ideally Monday to Friday, and then when you're filming, is it are you doing certain scenes, but some of them might not add up to the episodes? Like it's not in order.
It's not in order at all. Yeah, that's another thing too. So it can be a little confusing at times because we do something called block shooting, which is we take 2 episodes at once, put them together, and film them like a 2-hour movie as opposed to each 1-hour episodes. And the reason we do that is to help out with moving from location to location to location.
Yeah.
So let's say we're filming season 15, we take episode 1 and 2 and we film all of the scenes that happen in the kitchen first.
Yeah.
Then we film all the scenes that happen on the ranch next. And then, so they could be scattered. We could be doing the first scene, or we could be doing the last scene of episode 2 first before we do the first scene of episode 1. So you have to really keep in mind the story arcs and where your character is at that point, because let's say we're shooting a scene where I just got in a big fight with Grandpa Jack the scene before, but I haven't shot that scene yet. So I don't know how elevated we're going to get. I don't know how, just
crying, am I not
yeah,
crying?
exactly. It's like, how did my character take this? We haven't even filmed it yet, but then I have to shoot the aftermath first. So it's just also having that understanding of how things are going to go, and working with the actors over 15 years. You kind of establish those connections and how certain scenes are going to play out. You just kind of, you get that feel or that vibe from those people. So it can be challenging at times. And there's sometimes I'll watch an episode that's put together and I was like, oh, maybe it was a little too heated for what happened, or maybe it wasn't heated enough for what just happened. And also with stunts, we have a lot of stunts in Heartland with different horse things that happen. And so we have to predict what's going to happen before for bruising and clothing and dirt and that kind of stuff. Because let's say that we're filming a scene where I walk into the kitchen, I've just been bucked off. Well, how cut up am I? How dirty am I? Like, we don't know how that stunt's going to go. We haven't shot it yet. So that's another thing too, is my one, if I could pick apart things that I would love to see change, is I would love Heartland to be a little bit more realistic in the sense of grit and dirt. All the characters are very clean. They're very well prep. Yeah, exactly. And I'm always like, do we actually do anything on this ranch? Because I can tell you, when I spend a day at home, my clothes are filthy, I'm dusty, I'm dirty. And so that's the one thing that I've always trying to been pushing a little bit more, is to have a little bit more grit. And when I say grit, it doesn't have to be Yellowstone grit. Like, you don't have to get into
You're
like
dropping F-bombs for the sake of dropping
exactly.
F-bombs kind of grit.
Yeah.
Not
So
less murder.
little less. Exactly.
It's less stabby.
Yes. But you can still have that edge with, how you present your characters. They can be a little bit more broken down in their clothing. Their clothing can maybe have some rips in their jeans once in a while, or things that, actually happen when you're out working.
Is Amy's middle name Beth?
It's a whole nother show. It's funny you bring that up, because I was chatting with, Vern Elliott, the hat maker.
That's made my hat.
He'll visit with you till the cows come home. That guy.
Yeah.
So
I saw him the other day.
Me too. So I was out at Vern's the other day. We were chatting about Heartland and chatting about Yellowstone, and he said, I really wish that someone would make a show right in the middle. He said,
oh yeah,
Yellowstone's a little bit too intense.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like murders and people are getting blown up and shot and all this kind of stuff. He said, but then there's Heartland that's just so wholesome and tame. And he's like, why can't someone just make a show right in the middle? I said, you're right. Maybe we should get on that, because
more of a John Wayne vibe.
Heartstone.
Like he's not gonna drop an F-bomb, but he'll shoot you if you're messing around.
No, it's true though. There does maybe in the future.
Like the vintage westerns, where it's like there's still like that grittiness to it, but it's not like Heartland extreme where you're or not Heartland, sorry, Yellowstone extreme where you're like blowing people up or like murdering them just for like cutting your fence by accident or not really knowing, like you're not whipping out the browning irons and whipping people with some bikers just for stopping in on your land. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's kind of like a fine line, which makes sense. Something I wanted to ask.
We're not even through the first question.
Well, there's so many.
We don't even know what she does on her days
There's
off.
so many. She goes to the Longview karaoke. She comes to watch me perform.
Okay, so that was we better go off on that tangent quick. So that was one thing where she was like, I remember now where I saw you now is Longview karaoke.
So Amber and I have met each other a few times over the years. Like, she's from Ontario and she's been involved with the Royal Winter Fair. She's announced there. I've competed there a few times. So we got to meet there a couple times, and then I also used to date a girl who lives in the same area. We crossed paths a bunch there. And then also at the Longview karaoke.
He's quite the late night singer.
Late night singer, yes. So the summer that I quit riding bulls, it was a sad boy summer.
Licking your wounds.
Yeah, I was like, whatever, trying to figure out my path. And that was actually just before I moved into Calgary, into your place.
Into your basement.
For it all changed.
For everything changed.
Everything came around.
Yeah. So anyways, my dad was managing a feedlot just south of Longview, and I spent probably every Thursday from February till I moved to the city, basically going to Longview karaoke nights.
Mm-hmm.
Because what else am I supposed to do? Like,
why not?
I'm 23 years old, just lost my identity, so I'm just gonna sing karaoke for months.
Really good stepping
So
stone.
yeah, so like, it's kind of a good transition phase for me. So I'd spend there'd be some nights where I'd do like a 6-song set,
Oh,
or I'd
yeah.
only be
Oh,
able to
one
sing
time.
once. Yeah, like
Couldn't get him off the
well,
stage.
Yeah, Amber came and went in those
She's
6
like, oh
songs.
my
She's like,
God.
this
Who is
guy
this
again?
guy?
I'm leaving.
What is
well,
this
it's
place?
one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like it would either be like bumping, like full
Yeah.
house, like you would be lucky to get on the song list, or else it'd be
Or you're sitting there on a stool by yourself.
yeah, literally.
just
It's like me
singing
and 2
away
buddies.
or-
Yeah, exactly. I'm singing like
Oh,
"Picture"
geez.
by Kid Rock and like just
Holy.
straight sad boy songs. But anyways, it's funny that that's the last memory Amber has of me is
Yes.
at Longview Karaoke.
Well, now I have a new memory.
New
of
memory,
you,
yeah,
so-
exactly.
Memories.
It was a reconnect, which has been good. So
But yes, going back to what I do on my days
First
off.
question, yeah.
we're gonna be here all
20 minutes
day.
later, yeah. She has another commitment at 2:30. We don't have a
That's-
long time.
That's one nice thing about living in the country and having property and animals is that there's always something to do. You know, it's not like you're ever bored. And during the last 2 years, when a lot of things have just shut down and people have been finding it hard to keep busy, my life really hasn't changed a whole lot. And I'm very fortunate for that. And I understand that I am lucky that I have lots going on in that regard. So my days off, like typically Saturday, Sunday, I have off in the summer. They're just keeping like mowing the grass and, you know, keeping up with my garden and my animals and going out for a ride. And I'm also really lucky to have some great friends with big ranches around the area. So if they need to move cows or if they need to treat or doctor or whatever, I can like, hey, yeah, I'll come over, give you a hand. And I just find that stuff fun. People are always like, oh, that's so nice of you to go help your neighbor. I'm like, no, this is really fun. Like,
I'm happy to be invited.
I'm really glad I get to go.
That's like it's like a big thing, like in cowboy culture, to be invited to somebody's branding.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's like if you
Yeah.
if
It's
you're
an
getting
honor.
invited to the neighbor's branding, you know that you're like
You're
I'm
in.
in.
He
Yeah.
actually likes
so,
me.
Yeah, I can go do it. Yeah.
It's true though,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, there is that sense of community. There's that sense of everybody coming together, but it's also one of those things. They don't want you there if you're not useful, you know.
But
So
they won't invite you if you're not useful though,
That's
right?
true.
That's one thing I learned, especially on Alberta too. Like it's like you're deep in the cowboy country, so they can call
Mhm.
anybody and have
Yeah.
a million cowboys come on. But if they want to know that if they're not inviting you just for the sake of inviting you,
yeah, it's
they
not
want you
just
to be
like a
helpful.
party. There's
Yeah.
there's cowboy
just
shit to get
stuff
done.
to do.
do some
Yeah.
cowboy shit.
And if you don't know what you're doing, you're basically just in the way. So I think that it is
That's
really
a
nice.
terrible feeling.
It is a terrible
Yeah,
and
it's
I've been
brutal.
there because
Yeah.
remember, I'm an Ontario girl who moved out to the West and just immersed myself in this cowboy culture. And in the first few years, I was really lucky. Actually, Tom Erickson, who's our stunt coordinator on Heartland, he really took me under his wing that first couple years. And his boys were just starting to team rope. And so I would go over every weekend. So that's basically talking about what I do on my off time. Before I had animals and a farm and all these things to do on my weekends, I was actually living downtown Calgary in a condo. And that's not me. I'm not the girl who goes out shopping on my weekends. So I had talked to Tom and I was like, hey, is there any way I can come out and just go ride on my weekends or put me to work? Like, I don't care what I do. I just want to kind of learn this cowboy culture. And he's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, the boys are always roping steers on the weekend. Like, come on out. So he'd always lend me a horse. They're out there roping in the arena all day long. I would either just park myself and watch and be like, wow, this is so cool. And then, you know, he's like, oh, I got a really slow old steer. Track this one up and start swinging your rope. And so Wyatt Erickson, who's actually at this, he's team roping in the Agribition Rodeo this week. I grew up with them when my first.
Doesn't he date Bailey Switzer too? Is that right? Wyatt Erickson? Or am I thinking wrong?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, maybe I'm mixed up
No,
there.
I'm not really
I forget
too
now.
deep on who's dating
Okay.
who
Yeah,
these
me
days.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, the hot rodeo Gus.
Yeah,
But,
sorry,
but
but
so you hung out at the Erickson place all the time.
yeah. So the first 2 years I was in Alberta, I would go out there every weekend, and I would just sit myself on a horse, and then I started. Tom took me under his wing. He's like, "Here, come on, like rope this steer." And
Yeah.
so I started doing that a little bit, and that really kind of settled my soul in the West. Like, soon as I started doing that kind of stuff, I was like, oh, this is
I
where I
need to
want to
be
live.
here,
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to be here. So season 2, I full-time relocated to Alberta. I bought a little property and was like, I'm going to do it, right? Like, I'm going to be here. And since then have moved. But I just think that I really do, I owe it to the Ericksons for kind of taking me under their wing and showing me that cowboy shit, right? Like, really saying, okay, I understand that you're this English rider from Ontario. We're not
Yeah.
going to hold that against you. Come on over here and learn this. And I dove in with 2 feet. And so that's kind of how I started to learn that cowboy culture and the ways of the West. And that kind of bridged the gap to allow me to be able to do some of these things, like you said, be invited to the brandings and go move cows and help out, which I can't get enough of it.
So then off season is September to April.
Mm-hmm.
What are those months like besides being home and looking after all the critters?
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things where it's such a change of pace. Like I'm used to working 14 hours a day, waking up at 4:30, being busy all day, and then also still keeping up with social media. And there's like a whole new aspect of what I do now. I think that 15 years ago when the show started, I didn't have Instagram, I didn't have Twitter, I didn't have all these
flip
extra.
phones still mostly.
I know, I did.
yeah. Some teen
And
word
so,
texting.
and then I went to a little BlackBerry Pearl, and you think about all the you think about all the different levels of commitment for your like after hours engagements, and now with social media it can be very time consuming.
We can be on it 24/7 if you really want to be,
if
right?
you let yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I am very strict about, because I do all my own social media. So I'm like, I'm not going to be sitting there at night. If my husband wants to sit down and watch a movie, I'm not going to sit there on my phone. Like I'm going to put it away. And I think that you really have to be disciplined in that regard too. But as far as what I like to do during the off time, usually on a normal year, I do a lot of different appearances and events. I travel around quite a bit and go to different rodeos, host different things. And I find that fun, but I also am a bit of a homebody, so I like to stick fairly close to home. And I also do different things. Like I have a magazine that I'm the publisher of, and I write the majority of the articles myself. So that does take a fair bit of time to put together and decide who I want to interview and what I want to write about and get all my pictures together. And I'm lucky my husband's a photographer, so I get all those photos taken at home and I don't really have to book those. We put together a calendar every year, so I always say, okay, honey, like let's go out, saddle the horses, we'll get some photos for the calendar. And so putting that stuff together, and then I do a little bit of merchandise. I have some jewelry and some clothing and things like that as well. So it does keep me fairly busy. And then another kind of side project that not a lot of people know I dabble in, but I love real estate and I love buying and selling properties. So I just purchased a month or two ago a little commercial property that's got an apartment above it, and I'm gutting that right now. So I'm trying to take on a lot of that stuff myself too, which I enjoy because I like being able to work in a physical job, but then see the improvement. Like when you gut a place
for your work. Yeah.
Like you see the before and the after, and you're like, I did this, and like it's a proud feeling. So that's what I've been doing the last couple weeks is like just patching drywall and painting, and it was pretty. It needed a full gut. So
that's the glamorous life of
yes.
Canadian TV.
Yes, but you know what?
It's actually a flipper in my.
It's those things that also help keep me grounded too, right? Because you need to do a little bit of gritty work in order to just keep your soul
grounded.
Yeah, it does. And so, I mean, I don't do all of it myself. I have lots of very handy friends that come and help me with plumbing and electrical and all that kind of stuff that I don't need to touch. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun just for me picking out colors and floors and just seeing the start and the finish of a project too.
And so, what about the fun stuff other than that? Like
that's
like
not fun.
Are you? Hey, I mean, like
karaoke fan.
I mean, like Wacey. Yeah, Wacey and I do some golfing here and there.
Right.
But is
play
there
hockey.
Yeah, is there some skiing
You
in the
know
off
what?
season?
Are
you a big do you do lots of puzzles?
Maybe.
Are you into puzzles or
Puzzles,
knitting
no.
or like
No.
what's
board
the
games?
No,
Crochet?
now that
None
you're
of the
asking
above?
all these things, I feel
what?
really boring.
Which no, because that's not the thing. You just listed off like 1,000 things
That's
that
true.
I was working on too.
So-
yeah.
I'm not. Why you crochet in your spare time?
I got dabble.
Puzzle guy?
Spend a lot of time alone.
In the basement. No, I actually just it sounds so cliche because of my character, but I just love hanging out with my horses. And so when I get time to just be able to, and in the winter in Alberta, it's not ideal to ride outside the majority of the winter. So a lot of times I'll just load up a couple horses and go to the arena. And even if I'm just by myself, I rent some space somewhere and just go for a ride. I feel like that's my physical, because I'm not a person who goes to the gym. I don't really play any sports other than anything in the horse world. So it's nice for me. That's how I get my exercise throughout the winter. It's how I keep busy. And then I feel accomplished too, right? Like you feel like you've actually done something in the day. And that can take up 4 hours, 5 hours of your day. By the time you catch your horses, load your horses, drive somewhere, ride your horses, load them back up, make sure they're dry, put them back outside. Like it can take up a lot of time.
Them damn things.
Yes, I know. Tell me about it. It's a good thing I like the suckers.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. And then so I might spend my morning doing that, and then I might go and do some flipping, some house flipping in the afternoon. And that definitely fills up a day. And then you add social media into it and the other
Hey, I'm
things.
just living in a house.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it can be very busy in the winter, and it's just different. I would say that my life is more programmed in the summer, so I know exactly what schedule. I know that I'm going to wake up at 4:30. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to get home at 7:30. That's my day. Whereas in the winter, I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do today? And sometimes it can be more chaotic because it's like, oh, maybe I'm going to go ride. Now I'm going to go do this. Now I'm going to go do that. And I try to see my friends and family too, because I don't get to see a lot of them during
in the
summer.
summertime. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I got like three points I want to hit here. Brady Whiteside won the round in the barrel racing last night, and you mentioned her being one of your stunt doubles.
Yeah. So people ask me all the time, do I do my own stunts?
Yeah. Some of them.
Yeah. So that's the thing too, is when you're an actor on a television, there's a lot of restrictions because of our insurance companies. So our insurance companies, they make sure that everything is kind of good to go so that we are not going to hurt ourselves, because that would be bad.
You don't hurt the talent.
Exactly. So most insurance companies won't even let actors go over a trot. That's like in their conditions, and it says right there, like, actors are only allowed to trot, and anything past that, stunt doubles must be brought in. So several years ago, I wrote a big letter to our insurance company, and I said, here is all my horse experience. This is what I do with my own horses. Here's what I've done in the past. Here's my schooling, all that kind of thing. And so they do allow me to do quite a bit. And we've been really lucky over the years, because that adds to the realism of the show. If you could only see me trotting and then it cut to horse's legs and faraway shots, you would know, okay, it's not her, right? But there are times when we need to bring someone in who has a special skill or to make my character look good. Because anyone who's seen Heartland knows that Amy Fleming can do anything. I mean, like, I look at all the things, my character does, and wow, she is a talented girl. But there are a lot of real stories that I think make sense when you bring in someone really talented like Brady Whiteside, who can, like, she barrel races, she team ropes, she breakaway ropes, like, she and trains horses. So that's very similar to what my character does. And so this year we had a few moments where I was supposed to be training on a horse and had to do some breakaway roping. And so I said, hey, like, Brady could do this. Like, she's a great breakaway roper and got the blonde hair. And so she came in and did that. And I think that was her first time on a movie set. So that was kind of fun for her and for me. And then her dad has actually done stunts for bronc riding on Heartland, like started season 1 and then came back last year to do
Travis.
Travis Whiteside.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really funny, actually, because he retired bronc rider, but season 1 was 15 years ago. So he wasn't like
He was
that
still
far out of
competing
retirement, right?
Still in it, yeah.
And so, because the show is just the show that never ends, right? So he did some stunts for us season 1, and then they asked him last year, they're like, hey, Travis, like, we got a bronc stunt for you again. And he's like, it's been 15 years since I've been.
I'm old now.
Yeah. And he did a great job. He came out and did it. He had to get tossed, so it worked.
Oh, he did it still.
Oh yeah, he did it.
Oh geez. Oh wow. Okay.
So good on him. And we've got such a great team of stunt performers that come in and just make the show look real, right? Because that's the thing too, is you want people that actually know what they're doing. So when you watch the show, it looks legit.
There's a few others. Nikki Flundra has done lots of work on Heartland. A couple other names in the rodeo world. I don't know.
Lindy Lonsbury has done. Okay. So Lindy has been my stunt double. Like, I want to say my main stunt double all 15 years. So anytime there's, let's say, because another thing, and I'm getting sidetracked a little bit, but it's not just about stunts. It's also about timing, because we try to fit a lot into a day. So say there's a scene where I have to be like, it's a close-up scene where I'm talking with Jack or whatever, and then there's another scene in the day that's just my character riding across the field way in the distance. Well, they're going to keep me to do the close-up talking stuff, and then they'll take someone like Lindy and go on a different unit with a different camera and just film a bunch of scenes of her riding across a field so that they can use their time more efficiently. So we've usually got 2 to 3 cameras on set at all times. So we might have one stay with me and do the like scenes work, and then we'll have another camera go off and just do like the distance kind of thing too. So Lindy's been around all 15 years. She's a great double for me. There's a lot of times when I see a shot that I know was her that I was like, wait, is that me? No, that was her. Like, so it works really well. And then if we need someone, because Lindy doesn't really jump or she doesn't rope as much. So if we need a specific skill, then we bring someone in who has that specific skill.
Okay. Sorry, you got one waist quick?
Well, you go ahead and I'll.
Okay, you'll circle
I've been
back.
saving mine, so you
been
keep
saving?
going, buddy.
Okay.
You're killing it.
I got lots of notes over here.
I got my notes in my brain.
Okay.
So
So
This is the last time
He's
going.
floating
There's a lot of
around.
stuff going
he's
on.
making this shit up. All he has in there is right now is paralyzer.
It's just milk, 2% milk, Dairyland.
So I wanted to go back on the acting side of thing and just talk about maybe some acting coaches or mentors on that side of things. Just like what is that skill in your toolbox, like in your repertoire? What does that look like on a yearly basis?
That's a good question. It just kind of happens. I think for me, the fact that I play a character very similar to the way I live makes it that much easier, because I'm prepping for my character every day of my life. You know, like I said, I'm going out and moving my friends' cows or going to a branding, and then I go to work and pretend to do all those things. So I already have the knowledge of what it would look like in a real life setting. So that really helps. If I was on like a spaceship show or something and I had to be looking out at galaxies that have never been found before, I might need some like channel my inner like astronaut.
Watching Star Wars
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. So I am very fortunate that I am on a show that is so similar to my lifestyle. So that kind of already starts in the fact that that's my training.
Okay.
But I am lucky that I started acting very young. I was 8 years old when I started in theater. And so you I think absorb so much when you're a kid, right? You're watching other people, you learn. I also went to an art school in my elementary school years. So I went to Lester B. Pearson School for the Arts, which I was really lucky to go to from grade 4 to grade 8. So I learned a lot there. They had acting classes, they had visual art, which I'm horrible at, so I must not have gone to those classes. We had music class, we had dance class, we had a little bit of everything. So it kind of, that developed my art side, I guess you could say, early on. And then when I was going through high school, I had an agent out of Toronto, and so I did some acting lessons with them. And I also just took some like extracurricular acting lessons as well. And I think the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Sort of like what you guys are doing. Like I'm sure when you had your first podcast, it
was bad. It was
it
not good.
failed miserably. No, just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like there's always a learning process to it. It's one of those things that as you go, you become more comfortable. So that's the same with what I do. You know, every year that I do Heartland, I feel like I just absorb the role better and just learn how to act better too.
So we gotta get out here in 6 minutes. So I want to ask what's next after Heartland. We got our definition.
Can I go first?
You go ahead.
I have a good one. I've
Got
been
6
saving this
minutes.
one for a long time.
Okay.
I can't wait.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Wacey. I
Okay,
don't know.
we mentioned.
I'm sorry if this is. I'm sorry.
This is a big moment.
Yeah,
so-
okay.
No, it's a good question. It's legit. So
Okay,
we talked about bridging the gap earlier.
Mhm.
So how important is it for you to be part of something that has like Western lifestyle and agriculture in the mainstream? Because that's we talk about a lot in podcasts. Is like there's a disconnect between rural and ag, and especially like on the rodeo side of things too. It's like how important is it to be part of that? That's getting us in the public eye on the mainstream.
That's a really good question, Wacey.
I got something
Well
going on
done,
here.
well
I'm,
done,
I'm an educated fella.
It is true though, because I think that you're right. There is a disconnect, especially right now with rural culture. You know, when you're in it and you're consumed in it, you've usually grown up with that being part of your life. But someone like me, I grew up in the city, and I think that I really appreciate the Western culture because I was not just born into it. So growing up, I grew up in London, Ontario. I always had horses. I was very lucky that way that my mom was a huge horse lover. She had horses when she grew up. So she's like, I really want you to experience that, because she's like, those were the best years of my life. She always said that, you know, my teenage years when I had horses, those were the best years of my life. Until of course I came around. So I was able to experience horses all through my youth, which I love. And I really do think that that experience shaped who I am for sure. But then getting Heartland and moving out west, I became absorbed in a whole new just idea of Western culture. And I loved the idea of like cowboys. Like I was always like, oh, that's so cool. Like I want to wear a cowboy hat. And then I never really realized the impact that the West would have on me until I moved out here. And now living in Alberta for, you know, almost 15 years and really being in that whole Western culture. And most of my friends own and run big ranches, and so I really get to see that side of things, and I really respect it. When I see the work that goes into, you know, they're out there, let's say calving season, it's February, it's -40, they're out there at all hours of the night pulling calves, it's the amount of dedication and true grit that it takes to do cowboy shit, you know, is very, very admirable. And so it's really kind of made me not only inspired, but really value that culture. And the fact that we can share that on Heartland and other people from around the world. I mean, I get messages from people in Europe, Australia, Italy, Germany, wherever they might be, they recognize that cowboy culture through Heartland. And I think that the fact that we can share that to the world is really cool.
Can I just add one more thing onto that?
You got 4 minutes.
Okay, so what are some ways we can do better to connect between that urban and rural, that can bring that bridge together?
You know, events like the Western Canadian Agribition, where you get to bring in, and this year was really unfortunate, they couldn't bring all the school trips in because of the restrictions that are in place, but having the opportunity for kids who grow up in an urban environment be able to experience the Western way of life, or rural living and farming, agriculture, I think is so important, because there's such a disconnect between where your food comes from. And, you know, you ask most young kids who live in the city, like, oh, where does your food come from? It comes from the grocery store. And they have no idea the time and the effort and the dedication that goes into, you know, farming and agriculture and ranching and all those things that is like farm to table type thing. So I think it's really important for our youth to see it firsthand. And then from there, you create that experience and that education that will take them through their whole lives.
So you've Heartland's currently airing the 15th season. You and the crew, you're thinking getting to 20. We talked about earlier, you're not really interested in going away from Alberta now. So unless there's jobs close to Alberta, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you know,
right,
I've never been someone who closes doors before they open.
Yeah.
So I just look at every opportunity as they present themselves, and I think, okay, I weigh out my options. Is this something that I'm going to be happy doing? And that's the biggest thing, is I don't want to relocate myself. I don't want to move. I don't want to do something that doesn't really feed my soul. And so I love acting, but I also love my home, and I love Alberta, and I love my animals. So I'm definitely open to doing other projects in the future, but I would hope that I can always find that balance between my home life, my personal life, and whatever acting presents itself.
So, Wacey, last question before we get going.
And this has been great. We really appreciate taking the time. We'll have to do it again. And I have a million other questions I could ask you. So we definitely could get some more content here down the road.
You got another thing at 2:30 or 2? We got to get going at 2, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the question we ask all of our guests. What is your definition of cowboy shit?
Or cowgirl shit.
Or cowgirl shit. It's not we've got some stuff happening with that, so it's not just cowboy shit.
That's true.
Yeah.
My definition, I think I've brought up the word grit a few times, and I think that, you know, when you're really immersed in that culture, you have to have true grit, and you have to be willing to get some cow shit on your pants. You have to be willing to get down there, get dirty, and be physical too. You know, like, I'm gonna describe cowboy shit as a branding. It gets wild. It gets Western. You know,
People get bucked off.
It can be dangerous, and you just have to be on your toes and ready for anything to happen. And I think that that's exactly what that means, is that you can't be wearing your favorite sneakers there that day. Like, you have to be ready to just dive in, get dirty, and work hard. And that's really what it comes down to.
I like it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. We're right at 11 or what? 1:59.
We don't mess around on this
09, so we got to get going.
Very strict timelines.
But again, thanks for joining us on the show today. Here, Amber, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for agreeing
maybe we'll meet up in the Longview Bar for karaoke night.
Yes, I need to get back down there.
Only in the off season, it sounds like.
Off season karaoke / pod round 2. I'm in.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Amber. We appreciate you doing this.
My pleasure. Take care, guys.
All right. Heartland, Sunday nights on CBC. Tune in. Or, if you're internationally, I guess you got to find another way to watch it. But there's a few other ways where people can find it now worldwide, too.
Yeah, that's good, man. There's
CBC Sunday nights.
There's
Check
lots of lots of places to watch lots of things.
Watch it. All right. Thanks, Amber. Thanks. All right. Thanks again to Amber Marshall for joining us on the Cowboy Shit podcast. Got to thank her husband, Sean, as well. That was it was awesome to meet him. We had a good bullshit.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, Wacey. It seemed like you knew him or you'd met him before a couple times.
Yeah,
I remember where that was
I'd met Amber and Sean a few times over the years, competing at the Royal, and then.
But you weren't the co-host of the Cowboy Shit podcast yet, so you didn't have the clout.
Didn't have the clout. Didn't have the clout.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, I guess. And then I hung out around him a few times, doing some other stuff as well. When I lived in the Longview area, so.
Like karaoke.
We've crossed paths a few times. Yeah, as you all heard in the interview. So they're good people.
Speaking of activities, though, with again, thanks again to Amber for being on the show. Wonderful time. Katie, her publicist, we appreciate it. Thanks for helping us out. But
Carson Reed for being awesome to deal with as well.
Yeah,
she was
Carson,
big time help for us.
Unreal. Chris Lane for helping us hook it up too. So awesome time. We ended up spending like 4 or 5 hours with Amber and the crew.
That turned into a sweet day. Yeah,
it was
like
a
I
lot
was saying
of fun.
before the break, man. That was definitely one of my highlights of the whole deal. Like we had a awesome panel of guests for our afternoon show with Miss Rodeo Canada, Alicia Erickson, Kendall Pearson, and Amber Marshall. Like that was there's one point where they just took the conversation.
Yeah, we were just sitting over here with our mics.
Yeah, which was fine. Like, I thought it was great. But anyways, that was a good way to start the day. And then we had a sweet podcast interview you guys just heard. And then so I don't know where the cookie show idea came from, but I think that was Storm and Katie.
They already
stuff.
Amber was already set for that. Like she had already had her ingredients already ready for that. And then something happened. And I was like, well, hey, is anybody introducing her for the show? And I was like, we'll just come down and like introduce you if you want. If you want, like, same thing as here. We'll just please welcome to the stage, Amber Marshall, and then we'll get out of the way. And she's like, no, you guys can kind of like co-host if you want. And we're like, okay, yeah, cool, okay. And then
I'm not a cook by any means.
No, Wacey can do a mean grilled cheese, and that's kind of like.
I have a few sneaky dishes I can make that are pretty decent, but other than that, I'm pretty useless in the kitchen. But anyways,
so Wacey, turns out we learned something about Wacey. He doesn't know how to run a blender. So
wait, man. That blender was hard to run. That was a high-tech blender.
It had a locking lid, and it really stumped him. And so we went to we're making French toast, a couple different versions of French toast. So we got the eggs and we whipped them up in the blender, and then we went to pour them out in the dish. And I just let Wacey have it, and I let him have the thing. And I was like, okay, you got this. And he goes, and then he fucking spills all the egg whites, and the lid blows off because he didn't open the lid.
I actually didn't spill any of the egg whites.
Okay.
They stayed in the tray.
You didn't?
It looked a lot worse than it was. Like when you get hung up in a bull ride and then it looks real bad, but you have to come out pretty unscathed. It looked a lot worse than it actually was, but I made it all right.
It was pretty hilarious. It was Wacey was cracking himself up after laughing.
Oh, I think I was pretty much crying. I was crying.
Yeah, he was crying.
Amber couldn't keep her shit together. That was wild.
We really
distracted
her there.
But hey, in my defense, I held my own pretty damn well in that kitchen. Yeah, I was good at cracking eggs.
It was good. And I actually learned how to cook French toast. I actually didn't know. Funny story how I learned to make French toast is from Amber Marshall on a cooking show in Regina at the Exhibition. So
of all places,
I'll probably get to that. Probably get to the French toast making one of these days and get home again.
What doesn't really help though is that
because we're going away again on Wednesday, which is today. So when you guys listen to this, some of you will be in the air on our way to America, going to Texas. We're going to go to the bullfights, cover some action there at the Ultimate Bullfighters bullfights. Yeah. With Luke Kaufman, Brinson Harris was going to be there. Taylor Bells.
Gangs back together.
Yeah, going to be a sweet week. So we're going to go do that. And what else? We're going to go to the NFR for a couple days, man. We're going to go do a day of sports.
Sports, man. I'm looking forward to
Vegas. Yeah, we're flying to Vegas, going to the football game. Football game is going to be like a 1:00 start Pacific time. Then we're going to the hockey game that night.
The Flames versus Golden Knights.
Yeah, the Flames are at the Golden Knights. We've heard good things about the Golden Knights production, so got to go see that. Then we'll be in NFR town for a couple days. Probably be pretty tired by the time we get done at that hockey game, I'd imagine. We got to make sure we don't peak too early.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, my friend.
It's gonna be a big day.
Mm-hmm.
NFR, I think JB Mooney's gonna show up big time. I don't know if he's gonna win the whole thing though. It's gonna be interesting to see.
It's gonna be. Yeah, I was about to say. I agree with your statement there. I think he's going to show up big time and win a bunch of money. I bet you. Here's my hot take: he wins the Top Gun award.
Ooh, well, if he does that, he's probably going to win the whole thing. I just don't know. I don't know if he's. I guess it'll depend if he's healthy enough, right? Because he got hurt and he hasn't, been going a bunch. He's kind of been healing up. So to get the rust knocked off and then really show up big, it's going to be. I bet you like almost anybody in the pro fantasy rodeo and all the pools, a lot of folks are going to pick JB. And I think he's going to do well.
Money in Vegas, but
Stetson Wright's going to do well. Sage, I think, is going to do well. Sage is going to be looking to get back on top again. after
Well,
missing.
Stetson
it
could
last
win
year.
3 gold buckles at the NFR.
Yeah,
which
he
would
could.
be
He won 2
insane.
last
Would be an
time.
insane
So,
feat. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. But gonna be
pretty cool.
cool. What else, Wace?
Thanks to our friends at Pre-Seed.
Yeah, getting us tested up. Stacy
Yeah.
Meyer, he stepped up in a big way with the PBR this fall and helped us go down the road and keep the Rona out of our PBR crew. Stacy's got offices all across Alberta, GP, Red Deer, Calgary here. So he got us hooked up with a couple tests so we get across the border this week. So if you need any testing of any sort, occupational health safety, also sponsors and supports Brett Navy Mania, and partners of Brett Gardner as well. So appreciate you, Stacy. Thanks for hooking us up with the test.
Thanks for supporting the sport.
Yeah, thanks for supporting the PBR. One other thing I guess we got to mention is we got a couple new caps. Wacey's wearing one, the Toronto, the Big Smoke. It's got that one in the it's on the website now. It's in stores as well. Got some cowgirl shit kicking around. And what else? Yeah, check it out. Cowboyshit.ca. We got to
Christmas is coming.
Yeah, Christmas is coming.
Don't forget, and then promo code Waste10 is still alive. It's alive.
It is still alive. It hasn't been used much lately. We've been doing some Black Friday sales, but Waste10, it's still alive.
Still alive.
So check it out. Yeah, I guess that's probably pretty much it. Waste, you got anything else?
No, man, I think we covered it all. So it's a good episode. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. I guess one more shout out to our friends at Circle 4 Beverage Company. Thanks again for everything you guys do. And we cannot forget about our friends at Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping worldwide from manscaped.com using code HugeBush from us to you. Get the ballsiest gift ever with Manscaped.
And check out their new, they got some new body wash, shampoo. You can basically get your entire stuff. You can mow your lawn. You can trim your nose crops, your ear hairs, wash everything.
They got chapsticks. Take care of your lips. So if you're doing some smooching, if you're under the mistletoe,
they got it all. They got it all.
They don't have it. You don't need it.
Where you're getting some ranch water in you. Yeah. Okay. Thanks to our editor Sean Morton for always being there for us. Thanks for getting us through 4 seasons. Here's to the 5th season. Storm Foe, as always. Appreciate you. Love you long time.
Love you long time.
Love you too, Wacey.
Love you too, pal.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Talk to you again. Talk to you again on the 15th, I guess. Whenever that is. Yeah. Okay. See y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.